emotional resilience and building the skill of it. Today, we're going to focus on that, as especially for those of you guys who are considering yourself to be people pleaser, empaths, and people who are sensitive or highly sensitive. Building emotional resilience is a life-saving skill, is a skill that will allow you to grow your actual nervous system potential and expand in this life, actually grow in this life. Because emotional resilience, straight away, I want to give you a fact that emotional resilience, maybe not a fact, but maybe my interpretation of emotional resilience is that it's not about actually having fewer emotions, it's actually having a whole plethora of emotions and being able to stay present with them. That is literally what it is. And this is my interpretation based on the neuroscience and based on the biology available currently. So I want to also give you a visual for that. Visual as in, I'll give you an analogy of a piano. So think of your emotional states and your emotions as a piano. And if you, as the pianist, have only, let's say you are only playing, let's say, 10 piano keys, when actually, the piano has 88 keys, I think 52 white and 36 black, then you're just going to be playing those, 10 keys again and again. Maybe you might create different melodies out of it, but still, you're going to be repeating a lot. You have 88 available. So let's say you're not touching other keys, you're not playing around with other keys, you're not experimenting with them, you don't like maybe feeling them because, there's something about that particular key that you're just like, no, that feels scary, or no, I don't want to feel this is unpleasant. And at some point, when you think about those 10 keys, you will think, well, this is just the music that I'm making. Even though, you can tell there's 88 keys, available to you specifically. So everyone, fortunately, everyone will have, of course, their individual range and individual, I would say, limitations to the nervous system. So maybe, some of us will not going to be able to play those 88 keys, or, if we stick with that analogy, but you will still have way more range than your conditioning is telling you, or your programming. Conditioning, I mean the environment that you had been brought up in, and that includes not only your parents, but the school, but your peers, but your culture, religion, if there was any, all that soup. That is conditioning, So your nervous system is like plonked onto that soup when you are born, and then one of your purposes in this life could be actually discovering that nervous system range and emotional range, which equals emotional resilience. So until you start experimenting with those different keys, you're not going to be able to actually see what's your range and what's there available for you, because nervous system is a bit like that piano. It will give you pleasure, excitement, joy, creativity, but also grief, but also rage, anger, guilt, shame, different panic, different desirable emotional states and undesirable emotional states that you would say undesirable, and you would predict. So because, for example, for some people, let's say, sadness might be perfectly comfortable to feel, some people not. So, and it is, again, for you to discover the range. A lot of the times what is happening though is that, when you have those, 10 keys, you're just getting used to them. You think that this is your range, this is the piano, this is the music that you're here to produce, when actually the music that you can produce could be way more diverse. So it's really important that you're going to start thinking about your emotional range and about emotional resilience as a skill building from a very different perspective. First of all, I want you to start thinking of those emotional states that are raw physical sensations that you will feel throughout the day, again and again and again, as not instructions to do anything, okay? It's really important. So first of all, every time you feel something in your body, you are not thinking of it that this is an instruction to do, to say, and or to act in a specific way. No, there's no instruction. The emotion is unintentional. So for example, you feel something in the body that is a raw physical sensation. That is not then, and it doesn't have an intention for you because it cannot. It comes from your unconscious brain that is self-generative. So it generates different sensations like all the time for you to experience different things in life. Sometimes it will be experience caused by some external stimuli. Sometimes could be internal stimuli. So for example, a thought, and then it keeps on generating different thoughts. So first, emotions are not instructions. So this is absolutely important, because when you start assuming meaning straight away to these emotional states, then you are not present with them. It's like you're losing the connection straight away. So the moment you attach the story to the raw physical sensation, this is you completely disconnecting from yourself. That is disconnection from self. You're not being present with your own experience. Yeah? Now, this is difficult. I'm not saying this is easy, because we are conditioned as humans in the majority of cultures to be different, because so what I'm presenting to you, what I'm telling you about, is slightly maybe for some of you a bit mind-blowing, or like a bit like, what she's on about, why is this? It's okay. We are not being taught how to engage with our emotions in a healthy, biological, human, actually friendly way, unfortunately, in majority of the cultures. So the skill, the first part of being that skill is understanding that emotions are not instructions. They're not wanting you to do or say anything. There's not even an intention to be felt. It's just they are moving through your body, the energy. Yeah, that's what it is. So now, no assumptions, no judgment, you simply feeling it. Now, for those of you guys who are really, I would say, sensitive, what would be useful is to maybe rate the intensity of the emotion that you are feeling. So at least almost like engage your conscious brain, but in a productive way that's not gonna make any assumptions, but rather engage with the experience of the feeling. So let's say you can ask yourself a question, okay, I'm feeling something now. I have no idea what's triggered that. I have no idea what's actually happening, but it is intense. On a scale of 0 to 5, I would give it maybe 4 or 4.5. It is intense. I can feel, maybe tightening in my chest. So start describing it in a visual, biological way. I feel like my throat is maybe slightly clenched and my jaw is maybe clenching as well. Maybe I want to like hide somewhere. Think about all that is, again, maybe looking at your behavior, but maybe still staying with your actual, I would say, biological and bodily state would be advisable at first. You can also think about that, what you would want to do, maybe withdraw, maybe escape, maybe reach out for something or for someone. So start engaging your conscious brain so you stay connected to yourself, okay? So your conscious brain, you can still notice, let's say, the story that your conscious brain is trying to build. So let's say, oh, this is unpleasant, I don't want to feel it, this is stupid, because you're learning a new skill. So your brain will be generating these stories for you because it feels uncomfortable, because learning every new skill comes with that stage when you are not proficient proficient in that. So therefore you're going to feel uncomfortable. That's normal. So accept the stories that your brain is generating as, this is silly, this is this, this is neuroscientifically correct way of engaging with your emotions and building emotional resilience. So that's it. Now, your brain, like I said, is really important with engaging in I would say, like productive, actual way that will allow you to connect to yourself better, because your brain is a predictive machine. So the more your brain then starts learning, oh, I can feel that emotion, I'm rating it, I'm describing it, and I'm not generating any stories. Okay, so this is a new modus operandi. Okay, the more you're going to repeat that, the more your brain is going to treating that as an automatic way. And guys, if I hadn't practiced that, I wouldn't, be able to teach it in that way. And I also, wouldn't be able to see the change within my clients, let's say inner and outer worlds. I've done that work. I am a very sensitive person, and therefore I knew I had to build way more emotional resilience. And that had been a huge part of my inner work. It still is. But that modus operandi that I'm telling you about now, that's how I function on a moment by moment basis. So for example, I can tell you, let's say, what I'm feeling now when I'm, let's say, filming this video for you, which is I'm feeling relaxed. Actually, I'm enjoying passing on that knowledge onto you. It really, like, creating those videos, let's say, is bringing like that seeking and play emotional systems for me. So I am animated. But, for me to be able to actually make that automatic, so me engaging and connecting to my body automatic, that took some time for that to become automatic, instead of something that was automatic before, and that was not very healthy for me, because it was based on the traumas that I had overcome in my life. Yes, and that's what I had been teaching my clients throughout the years, and that's what they had been able to build, that emotional resilience. So it's all about the range. So your capacity, think of your capacity as almost like your current capacity as a starting point. And that starting point is different from one person to another, because you have different sensitivities, different capacities, different stories, different learning experiences, different biology, different everything. So you have to think about your starting point, where you are, how does that practice feel for you? Can you actually understand it and maybe incorporate some of that practice into your life straight away? Or do you have to really maybe take a step back and maybe soak that knowledge a bit deeper, so actually it really sinks in, and only then maybe start practicing a little bit more? Now, don't turn, there's one like an asterisk to that. Don't turn this practice into self-abandonment and self-betrayal, as in, I'm gonna stay with it, I'm gonna push through that feeling. Don't. This is forcing. So this is not you being kind and compassionate to yourself. This is you doing an exercise from a state of lack of compassion towards self. Every practice, every skill, psychological skill that you're learning, requires from you to take a stance and go into the state of unconditional love towards self, which means you can fail, you can make mistakes, it's okay, you're being human, you don't have to be perfect. That's it. No judgment. You just carry on. You're just still moving. You're learning. Yeah? That is the stance. That is the mindset that I want you to incorporate whilst you are practicing your specific emotional resilience, knowing your specific starting point, not putting any ridiculous expectations upon yourself, because a lot of us, we are just so perfectionistic. We are, and that's what I see in a lot of my clients. So all this. So this is how you learn the skill of psychological and emotional resilience. This is how you build it. The more you're going to do it, the more you're going to engage with yourself in that particular way, you will see a difference in your inner world, and then it will be showing up differently in your everyday life. Why? Because you're going to be acting differently. All these different acts, inner acts towards yourself, will present on the outside, will manifest on the outside different behaviors. Therefore, you're going to have different results, because there'll be different consequences that you're going to experience in your life of your own behavior. That's it. You're gonna have a different way of relating to other people, different way of relating to the outside world. So trust that that was helpful. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want to book a session with me, you've got the links down below. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Ciao, ciao.